All right. Welcome back, everyone. Next up, we have Pervasip Corp on the OTC. It trades under PVSP. It's a developer of companies and technologies in high-value emerging markets. Owns Artizen Corporation and its subsidiary, Zen Asset Management LLC, a diversified asset management company founded to acquire, develop, and support companies and technologies in the cannabis industry. Please welcome its president and CEO, German Burtscher. Welcome, German.
Hi, Anna. How's it going?
Good. We're glad you joined us.
Well, thanks for having me, and apologies for all of the technical difficulties that literally popped up last minute here and required an entire change of all of our computers in the conference room. Oh my God. Don't want to do that.
It happens. It happens. So take it away.
Yes, thank you. Let me just see if I get into that presentation. Welcome, everyone. And I am trying to find where the presentation is. Just see.
Slide tab.
Here we go. Slides. And up. So since I am missing some time, disclosure statements, safe harbor statements, I'll let you just read those for a moment. I think we're all familiar with those. Forward-looking statements. Obviously, nobody can predict the future. With that said, let me share a little bit about our strategy, focused on two categories, one being recreational cannabis, the other being wellness. And on the wellness side, as integrated cannabinoids, psilocybin, eventually on the psychedelic end in regards to mental health. And in general, we approach a market or any of those categories by investing into small data points for either analysts, analytics, anything that gives us a better understanding of the market, which we've done in recreational cannabis, and that would follow an investment into what we call a platform operator, somebody on the ground that allows us to really take a share in that market. And recreational cannabis was the first one we did that with. Starting with a acquisition of Artizen Corp, fall of last year. I became president and CEO of the company at the same time, and with my management team began a major restructuring of the business. And for the next 10 minutes, I'll talk a little bit about that rather quickly, since I don't have much time left. Core aspects of our recreational market business would be, as said, Artizen Corp, who also owns the Artizen brand, and Zen Asset Management, which manages various cannabis assets in Washington State. We call them affiliate customers, from 5 different cultivation sites to a distribution company. And we'll talk a little bit more later on in the presentation about each of those. We extract revenues vis-a-vis or via services fees, IP licensing fees, and leasing and staffing and other things. For the ones in the audience who don't really know much about the recreational cannabis space, we are focused on what's called high THC in recreational markets, of which there today are about 19 states in the US that have legalized recreational use of high THC products. About 20 additional states allow medical use. Projected by 2030 to be about 28 states that have legalized. So a bunch of these 20 medical states will move up into the 28. And some of the non-legal markets will have adopted medical. So if you just stick with what we know today, with the current states, that's about a $57 billion annual revenue market by 2030. Could go as high as $72 billion, but our focus right now is literally just in that particular segment. So if you look at the acquisition of Artizen and what this business looks like, starting with the early days, the origin story of Artizen, literally being a medical dispensary that was founded over 10 years ago. And upon the recreational regulations being implemented in Washington, a decision had to be made. Do you stay as a retailer or as mandated by the regulators, are you going to be in the production processing business? Decision was made to do the latter, and the Artizen brand was founded, which has had sales of over $250 million since the middle part of 2015 in retail revenue value, about a 10% share of the premium flower segment, and combined facility space under management is a little more than 200,000 square feet today, but 5 indoor grow operations, Tier 3 licenses. Tier 3 is like the largest license you can have in Washington. Interestingly enough, the Artizen brand is trademarked as well as one of their strains, which is quite unique. Quick view into financials. Consolidated financials for 2021. We're in the midst of an audit. Should be completed May, June, July, hopefully earlier. But we see about 17 million in consolidated revenues for last year. Showed a positive EBIT of 37,000 and net profit of 355, which includes one-time severance expenses. As I joined the company, I implemented a rather aggressive restructuring plan. So some of those severance and other restructuring expenses got accrued into what was last quarter of 21, or net profit would have been a little bit higher at 500,000. And when you look at Q1, 22 and over 21, which typically is the lowest revenue quarter, our Q1 in the new Pervasip fiscal year starts in November, goes through February, and which includes the 2 lowest months of the year. And gross profits have gone up from 849 to 1.5 million, more importantly 23 to 39%. Still a positive adjusted EBITDA of 124,000 and an adjusted net profit of 72 when you take back out about 176,000 in one-time severance expenses. So great revenue, working very hard on getting focused on some of the basic parts of our financials, which have to do with expenses and margins. And you will see much improvement toward the end of the year when a lot of the restructuring expenses and savings will have positive impact on our cash flow. A little bit about us 2 executives here at Pervasip who manage the business. Myself, President and CEO, spent about a little more than 7 years in cannabis. Had the great fortune of working with Willie Nelson and his family in implementing the Village Reserve, on developing the whole brand, and launched in Washington State. Subsequent to that, launched one of the most successful distributors here in our state that also brought some national brands in. And George, my partner at Pervasip, who's CFO and Chief Operating Officer, lots of operating experience, managed Zen Asset Management as head of finance since 2020, and then came on board at Pervasip September, October of last year, and is my right hand in implementing all of these restructuring moves that we are making and are super excited about. The next few slides, just a little bit about, kind of a visual on, what those things look like that we manage. $17 million isn't necessarily just happening out of nowhere. I'm going to show you 4 of our main facilities. This is Tacoma. It's a very large 24,000 square foot facility. Downstairs in this building, the upstairs is another 38,000, which we are building out into a state-of-the-art cultivation facility that will be number 5. You see some of our $1 million chillers sitting here. And when you look at, for example, our Tumwater facility, a little bit south of Olympia, about 27,000 square feet. Again, our HVAC setup, which are carrier chillers. You see a little bit of the inside. Hard to kind of show this without videos, but you can take a tour for a bit more of visuals on our website at pervasip.net. And Lacey, the mothership that started it all many years ago, that's about 75,000 square feet, includes gardens, includes distribution and some warehousing. Gives a bit of a view down here on what those flower rooms look like. They're fairly large. There's 3 big flower rooms of this size. Out here, what you see is our vegetative setup that feeds all those flower rooms. And lastly, our beautiful greenhouse cluster up in Port Townsend, another 40,000 square feet. And these gardens, for the most part, produce beautiful flower for our brand, the Artizen brand. You see here a bit of a setup across all the different strains, and in eighths, it's just a single SKU. There's like 15 other versions of how this product gets brought to market. And when you think of that brand, also recognize that it's now the 9th largest independent flower brand in North America. Much to our own surprise, as these data sets came out back in November and published by MJ Business Magazine. We are in good company with Cookies, Fat Panda, Opal, and companies that are not driven by vertically integrated MSOs. And I think that is, by the way, something in cannabis that you will see more of. We're going, into this next stage of evolution in the market, which is past MSOs into true brands, and there will be much more of that. And then the question becomes, what do we do with our brand equity? And the way to expand that is licensing the brand into various states, which we have listed here. Some acquisitions that we'll do over the next couple of years, and optimize what we have in Washington State, which will drive additional 2 to 2.5 million revenues on an annual basis just out of this state alone. And lastly, since I'm running short on time, and again, apologies for rushing through this, but happy to take questions afterwards. On the wellness side, so we move into this, what was second category of focus, which is very early on for us. We have a small investment, about 5% stake in KRTL Biotech, and in exploring how that market would look like, what that market bears in regards to segments that we should target to establish a platform operator. Some announcements that will be forthcoming soon that we're super excited about, by the way, and because it would allow us to finally enter in a measured manner what we call functional foods and supplement market, focused on cannabinoids, terpenes, and other herb-related compounds that are backed by science, in particular KRTL's science network out in Korea that has done tremendous research across that space under the auspices of their FDA, and that's about it.
Well, thank you. We definitely want to hear your full presentation because this is important stuff, but please join us again. We've got to move on to our next presenter. We have tons of questions for you that we'll send to you so you can answer on your own. So thank you for joining us.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. We'll see you again. Okay. Stay with us, everyone. We're going to our next presenter. We'll be right back.